Helps if I unmute. Hello, everybody. What a wonderful group of people we have in the house tonight. Hey, hello, Chantelle. How's it, Ellie? And we got Mr. Scott here. Fantastic, guys. Welcome. Debbie, Ashok, Vilmarie, Jean, Amanda, Margaret, Aaron, David, Stephanie. Wonderful to see so many familiar faces back again for another amazing workshop. And for those who are here for the first time, how brilliant is it to see you here? So I know we always have people coming in, so I'm going to just have a bit of a chat with you guys while we wait for them to all come in. Getting a couple of messages. This one can't find the Zoom link. This is normal, is it not? So we're all settling in. I've got some people here having chats. Wonderful. Keep the chats going, guys. Keep the chats going. We've had weather forecasts from New Zealand, and New Zealand's in the house. Now, in New Zealand, that's called commitment. That is commitment. What time is it in New Zealand? Where is that? I saw that post. Who said that? Stephanie.
It's 6 a.m. here in New Zealand.
Now, that's commitment. I honor and respect that. Wow, fantastic, man. Brilliant. That's major. That's major. So keep going there. Hazard, David, and everybody else. And we've got Jean from Holland. So we got Canada, New Zealand, Holland, South Africa, US. What other countries we got in the house here? Who else we got? Hey, this is amazing. I love this. Isn't this what's so fantastic? How blessed we are to be able to communicate and chat to each other all over the world. Doesn't matter where you are, what time of day or night it is. We're here and we can connect in something truly, truly powerful. That's what we're going to do. My camera's off at 6 a.m. Okay, I get you. So guys, on that note, actually on the camera, if you can keep your camera on, that's really awesome. Let me tell you what it's like as a speaker. Perhaps you've also hosted a Zoom before. And everybody's got their cameras off. And it's like you're talking to a blank screen. Me, I like real life people, okay? But this is second best. I'd rather have you guys over Zoom and your cameras on than speak to nobody. But we draw energy from you. Ask any speaker. We draw energy. We see your reactions. We can interact with you on the screen. But we can't if it's just a blank block. So I really encourage you. If I'm going to turn my screen off, my camera off and talk to you, not so impactful, right? So that's the first thing I've got. You're in Stephanie, 6 a.m. You're here, blessed. Keep your camera off. Beautiful smile on your picture there. Well, there you are for that one. But where you can, guys, keep your camera on. That really is so great. The other thing which I want to practice and test, which you're already doing, is the chat box. Practice that. There's two things I want you to help us with tonight that really I know Ellie, I know Scott, and I know Chantelle, they love interaction. And the more interaction we have, the more we know that we're sharing a message which is valuable to you. So everybody, all at once, the bottom of your screen there, you've got that little emoji con, that little dude says reactions, got a smiley face. There we go. Thank you, Stephanie. Test it out. Does it work? Whatever you want. Test it out. There we go. There we go. Scott's sweating. I don't know why. Why are you sweating, dude? Orange, you found it. Amazing. All right. Use this. There's some nugget, something somebody speaks about or shares, and you think, that was good, and you've got one of these. Anybody got one of these? You know what it is? It's a pen. Amazing, huh? Wow. There we go. Ashok's got it. So when you've got a nugget, somebody shares something and there's something powerful that comes across your path, stick a reaction in it, give a thumbs up, give that horn thing shooting out the stuff over it, give a heart if you like it. That means we know we are on the right path. If you don't like it, give a thumbs down. Ooh, didn't like that comment. We want to see your reactions. We want to see your energy, and that fuels us. So here's a question for everybody while we got a few more joining us on the call coming through. Here's a question in the chat box. What is new and exciting in your life in September? One thing. Type in the chat box there. One thing that's new and exciting in your life in September. Sunshine, Chantelle. Yeah, I'm with you. We live in a similar area. Got it. Today, sure, the sun's out. It's been a bit hectic here in South Africa on the coastline. A little bit too crazy, and we've got another weekend of craziness coming up. Yeah, what else? What else we got? A year older. Wow. Okay. Hey, one what, man? New and exciting. Yeah, I also actually had one of those. But I only turned 16 because I started again. When I was 36, I said, that's enough. So I started over. So I've just had my 16th annual 36th birthday. But I got one of those. My work visa application has been, didn't see the rest of that message. Where is it? Has been submitted. All right. Fantastic. Good to know. Good to know. 1 year older, sunshine, weather seems to be coming up. Keep going in the chat there, guys. Keep going in the chat. What do we got in store for you this evening? Every month, I love putting these together. This is really a highlight, and good on me for organizing it in the last Thursday of every month, because it means my month ends off on a beautiful high note. How amazing. So you're going to be hearing from the fantastic Chantelle Botha tonight. You're going to be hearing from Eli Javitz. And so Chantelle's in South Africa, Eli's in Canada, and then the amazing Scott Raven is in the US. So you see, I do put together an international flair of guys for you coaches, teachers, authors, business people, entrepreneurs to share their wisdom and their knowledge with you. And I just want to start off by saying thank you, and please give a thanks in advance to these amazing people for taking the time out of their busy schedules and coming here and committing to our community, their knowledge, their wisdom, not expecting anything in return. They're all willingly giving in service. Show them some love. Show them your appreciation that they're here for you guys. And that's what's so important. Share that a little bit. So now, as we're going along, we're going to be each be speaking our piece. Then at the end, 20, 30 minutes, there's going to be a bit of a panel discussion time. And I love the panel discussion. If you've got a question that you want to ask, put it in the chat box as we're going along. One of the other coaches maybe answer it for you. Absolutely no problem. But otherwise, we'll bring it up towards the end. And we'll open up the chat box for a discussion. So whatever it is, you want Eli to hone in on something specific, or for Scott to just go into detail in an area that you're not quite sure of, that's going to be your opportunity where we open it up. Now, here's another big thing. You need to stay right to the end. Why is it so important to stay to the end? You've committed. You've committed your time. So be here, play full out, be right up to the end, because the bonuses are shared right at the end. And I'm going to ask you, going to share a link with you right at the end. I'm going to share a link, which is to grade this workshop, so that you can then share, and I can then use that and say, guys, to everybody else out there, bring more people in. This is how our workshop's rated. And when you rate the workshop, that's when you get access to all those bonuses and nuggets and little things that the coaches are sharing from their toolbox of knowledge and experience. That's where you get access to the document. So if they refer to a document during the workshop, you're going to get it. Once you've filled in that, it's called Speaker Score. It takes literally 2 minutes. You get access to all of those documents, including the application to have a one-on-one chat with your coach of choice. This is where you can have their time hone in specifically on something valuable to you, as opposed to general, which we've got here. How does that sound? Are we ready to get going? Let's see. We're ready. Ashok says he's ready. All right. Aaron's got his camera. There we go. Chantelle, I know she's ready. She's messaging me all afternoon. Hey, what about this? Fantastic. All right. Let's go for it, guys. Now, for those who don't know me, not only do I host workshops, and I call myself a professional pointer, where I work with business executives and entrepreneurs and solopreneurs in helping them align their values and their purpose, really trying to assist in rewriting your script, your journey, your story. But I like to focus on a stress-free state. So I always start with a breathwork session. The breathwork is designed to really hone in on our body so that we can be here all out. Now, I'm not going to talk in detail about it right now, but I'm going to share one exercise with you, not only that we're going to do here and now, but also that then you can learn, because it's one of the things that is on that with the worksheets I'm sharing with it. So you don't have to make a record of it now. You will be getting the documents and a little video of how to do this, what we're sharing now. But this way, we're going to be able to really get a wonderful connection. So this breath work that I'm going to share with you guys tonight that you're going to do, I'm going to demonstrate it first with you, is called resonant breathing. And it's an ideal one to lower stress and anxiety. The alternative way that it's also called is, or the other way that it's also known, is alternative nostril breathing. Now, I've been using this one for many years in order to calm my mind and just get a little bit more centered between my brain and my heart, where I get a little bit more resonance before doing meditation. Sometimes the brain's a little bit too wired and a little bit, and I want to just calm myself. This is a brilliant one to do it. And the other thing that it does, not only does it get a little bit more settlement and resonance between our brains and our hearts, but we're doing alternative nostril breathing, which means that you're getting a good balance between left and right hemisphere of your brains. So this is how it goes. I'm going to demonstrate for you quickly. And it's a real calming one, allowing us to get centered and focused. So what you're going to do is take your middle finger and your second finger, and you put them where your third eye is, in the sort of between your eyebrows, okay? And what you're going to be doing is using your thumb. So this is your right hand you're using. You're using your thumb to block your right nostril, and you're going to alternate and then use that, what's that finger called? What's the dayan? Dayan, that one. What you're going to do with that one is use it to block your left nostril, okay? So the way the breathing is, I'll demonstrate it first for you, and then we'll do it, okay? You're breathing all in and out through your nose. You're going to start by taking a breath in. You're going to block the right nostril and then breathe out through the left. Breathe in. And on the in-breath, you swap fingers. So now I'm blocking my left. I've opened my right. I breathe out and I breathe in. Then I swap. You swap on the in-breath. Now, this works really well because you not only do you have to focus and concentrate, and you will get it wrong at the beginning. It's normal. I can see Debbie's going, my fingers are confused. That's normal. Sorry about this noise outside here. I hope you can't hear it too badly. The dogs and the scooter's going mad. Okay, so what we're going to do.
Come on.
My wife's gone to shout at the scooter guy outside our front doors, decided to rev. Let's give him a moment. What I'd like you to do, put your fingers, right? You're going to calm, you're going to keep your shoulders nice and low. You're going to be then focusing, and you're going to close your eyes so you can really focus, because you shouldn't need to keep your eyes open to look at your fingers, right? You got to focus on what your fingers are doing. So I'm going to say to you, take a breath out, and you're going to let your breath out. Then you're going to block your right nostril with your thumb. I'm going to count you in, and you're going to take a breath out. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Blow everything out. Block your right nostril. Breathe in through the left. Swap fingers. Now you're blocking your left, and blow out and in. Thumb blocks your nostril. Open up the other side. And in. And swap. You're swapping on the exchange. I'm going to do this for 1 minute. Do it at your own pace. Okay, so we got another 10 seconds. And last one. And in. Put your hands down, make sure your shoulders are relaxed. Keep your mouth closed. I see Scott's moving his head a little bit. Beautiful. Hope you didn't get too impacted by that noise outside here. How are we feeling? Centered, calmed, focused, right? It's a wonderful one to do to help in that moment of that anxiety, just to get yourself centered. Like I said, I use it before meditation if my brain's a little bit too active. It's the focusing that you're doing with the hands, the eyes closed, that really gets down and beautiful. All right. So now that we're focused and we've got all our endorphins and we've got the oxygen in our system and we're awake, I'm going to take a screenshot because I nearly forgot this last month. Everybody, cameras on, including those in the PJs. Only kidding. But cameras on. I want to take a screenshot of these amazing faces over here. Put your MBB. There we go. Margaret, Taz. Welcome to turn them off after as you want to. I want to see. Okay, Amanda's autopilot can't. And I see Ellie's up there. Right. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let me see if I can get my camera. So there we go. Okay. Are we ready for beautiful smiles? Let's give some heart. Let's do a heart. What's that heart thing? What's that heart thing that everybody's? Okay, there we go. Or peace signs, whichever one you want. Are we ready? And 3, 2, 1. Give me your biggest smile. Oh, when you're doing something, I can't see the face. I want to see the face. Let's do it again. Are we ready? And nice, beautiful smile. Give us a nice signal so that we know that we're all alive. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey, hey. Ah, that's better. Thank you very much. Bless you. Let's climb in with the first amazing speaker. And his name's Tim Wagner. You may or may not have met him before. That's me. And I'm going to start off by bringing it down a little bit and getting a bit serious for a few moments before I introduce you to the other speakers who will share. And this comes because I feel sometimes a little bit frustrated, if you want, concerned, upset, that people give up on their dreams and goals and on aiming for what they're looking for as soon as they come to a roadblock, hurdle, obstacle. And I look at this and I think, but there's ways around this. It doesn't have to be this way. If you are prepared and you understand what is coming, then you'll be able to work straight through it. Bring up the screen. There we go. This is where we are. We know that already. Here's a question for you. Put in the chat box. Are you obsessed with success and do not accept failure? Put in the chat box there. Are you obsessed with success and do not accept failure? Yes or no? What's the answers? I've got the chats open here. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Yes, to the degree I don't believe in failure, only learning. Love it. Yeah, as a coach and a half. Ooh, David, no, failure is inevitable. Ooh, nice, breaking away from the herd. I love it. Let's break this down. Failure is only feedback. We got the coaches who know the answers over here. We need to be able to embrace all of these hurdles, roadblocks, challenges, and issues and things that come. Because if we're not ready to embrace them, what'll end up by happening is that you fear them. And people have said, I fear the unknown. Well, as Dr. John DeMartini says, is how can you fear the unknown? You see, fear is an emotion, and this emotion is driven from your past experiences. So if you say it's an unknown, how can you fear it? So what we need to do is break this down and understand any time that something happens that you don't enjoy, you're not liking, there's a balance. There's a balance in nature of everything that we experience. Where you have failure, you have success on the opposite side. Where you're forward, you have back. Where you have dark, you have light. Where you have hot, you have cold. There's an equal and opposite balance in everything. So before quitting on something, when you come across that point of fear and you don't know what to do next, reframe it. When you understand, you can prepare for it, and then you move forward. What have you failed on in your life that you got back up? You failed miserably, but you got back up. Has anybody ever done that? Have you experienced something dramatic, but you got back up? Every single one of you is unique and precious. Yes, many times. If you believe that you haven't experienced this yet, you're only new on a journey of development, of growth, you haven't started a business, you're not sure what to do, and you're thinking, yeah, I don't know really what it means, let's go back a little bit. I am yet to meet an able-bodied, person, adult, who gave up trying to walk. Right? Every child grabs hold of the side of that couch, pulls himself up, their stumbly little legs, and they try to walk, fall flat. I'm yet to come across an adult that said, that's it, I quit. This is too hard. I ain't going to do this anymore. You see, you've all achieved remarkable things in your life. Talking, eating, brushing your teeth. The first time you brushed your teeth when mom was showing you how to brush your teeth and you were trying to get this up and down and circle. Hey, no, the coordination wasn't there. You didn't say, I quit, that's it, I'm not going to brush my teeth. Deal with it if my breath smells and off my teeth will fall out. No. You accepted the fact that the failure at that point was just part of your journey. And if you don't, you'll be very deluded. When you're prepared for the opposite to happen, you can mitigate the risks and you can accept it. Only when you're not ready will you then take it as fear of failure. And as the coaches have already said, this is purely a sign. If you have a look at these obstacles, roadblocks, hurdles as a sign of this is where you are right now. And because now you've got a sign of where you are right now, and you know what it is that you actually want, you know which direction to take. How amazing is that? So in 5 minutes, I'm literally going to run through 5 main reasons why I see people quit on their dreams and goals and go back to that status quo, the place they were trying to break away from in the first place. And I've seen so many of these, and they're not always spoken about. So I'm going to speak about them very briefly here. I want you to be aware of these. Let's jump forward. The first one, it's a lifestyle choice. When you are deciding to go on a new journey, a new personal development journey, start a new business, launch your own company, pick up a new hobby, you are looking and saying, I'm going to add all this into my life, is impossible. It will not work. You have to change something within your lifestyle. So here's the hurdle. Every morning you wake up with that alarm clock, you get washed the same way, you get dressed the same way, you let the same dog out, you have the same breakfast, you kiss the same spouse, you kick the same dog. No, you don't kick the dog. What do? You kick the kids out of their beds to get them to go to school on time. You drive the same way in the same traffic, you have the same conversations at work with the same boss, with the same people, around the same water fountain, you have the same lunch, you go home the same way to the same issues, and the next day you repeat it all over again. Where are you meant to fit anything in? So when you decide that you're going to do something dramatically different with your life, it's a lifestyle change. You need to create this in your environment. So the solution is you need to do things differently. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Go to bed earlier. Instead of zoning your head out in front of Netflix, and that's not a good way, by the way, in order to get your sleep rest, but your rest. Instead of doing that, go to bed a little bit earlier. Wake up at 5 a.m. Join the 5 a.m. club. Go onto Facebook, join the 5 a.m. club, Robert Sharma. Start meditating, mindfulness, reading. Wake up before anybody else does and get some of that studies in then. Then start your day off by, if you drive a different route. Go to work a little bit earlier so you're not sitting in the same traffic. When you get home from work, instead of sitting down and vegging in front of the TV, take the kids and the dog to the park if it's a beautiful day. In other words, within the time that you already have allocated to us, and we all know there's only 24 hours, you're going to need to do a lifestyle change. Number 2, hurdle number 2. Where are we? Hurdle number 2. You will lose friends. Yep. You will quite likely lose friends. You're on a new path, a new growth. You're here on a webinar like this. You're attending other sessions from other phenomenal speakers and coaches. You've got a coach and you're learning new information, reading new books. But your friends and family are staying exactly where they are. Now that's where they are. But you're going to try and have a conversation with them of these new things that you're learning. Your mindset's changing, you're growing, but they're not going to understand you. They love you for who you are back then. That's when they grew to know you. They know you from there. Now you're saying, I'm changing. They go, don't change. We like you. What if we don't like the new version? Here's the solution. You need to grow your network. just like what we've got here. And we've got a network on what's it called? LinkedIn. Join that. I'll post the link later on. Make sure you're on it. It's in the emails as well. Be connected with new people who are going to inspire you, lift you up, and coach you. Your true friends will stick to you and they'll motivate you. But isn't it strange that the people that you believe will be there to support you often are the ones who are more concerned? And they're doing it from a position of love. Don't give up your job. Stay where you are, blah, blah, blah. But you've got a different goal and dream. So it might mean a new circle of influence, a new circle of friends. Number 3, your personal relationship will take strain. Now, I remember back in 2008, I joined a network marketing company. Some of you know my story. And it wasn't the product I was caught up with. It was the personal development. This was mind-blowing. I joined the Professional Speakers Association. I joined Toastmasters. My brain was feeling like it was being used for the first time in my entire life. I would read this book by Dr. John Maxwell, one of my all-time favorites, or I'd have a CD, it was CDs back then, on Tony Robbins or Jim Rohn, one of my favorite. And I'd say to the wife, oh, you've got to read this, you've got to read this. And I'd leave it for her. Nothing. But why didn't you read it? I want to tell her a story. Doesn't mean anything. Be very wary that you are on the journey. And that doesn't mean that your partner needs to be on the same journey, at the same path as you. What happened over time, and this was the solution, I grew, I believe, into a better human being, a more understanding, a more empathetic person, a little bit more of a person who was approachable. I was a very different character than I am now. I created a new personality in order to have a new personal reality. And over time, one day, she picked up a book. Then the next month she said, can I come to that seminar you're going to? That guy that was on that CD you were listening to, she was listening in her own time. Before that, it was a clash. Now it was understanding. Allow the pace of the partner to come along with you. You do it. Here's the next one. Number 4. Be prepared to wait. Patience. We live in a society of instant gratification. We want instant results. We want this information now. We want to understand exactly how to master social media advertising right now. You want to be able to get all your clients right now. You want to get this new project underway right now. You want to get that promotion right now. The reality is, this is a journey. Enjoy the journey. It takes time. There's a lot to learn, but before you learn, you've got to unlearn old habits, things that don't serve you anymore. And when you apply a habit of 1% a day improvement, it happens and builds up over time. Personal growth is a journey. It's not a destination. It never ends. Patience is a required skill, and we've all got it. So you just keep going, and you don't realize how much of a change you're making in yourself by just hanging around those new people, reading that book, listening to that new information that fills your body, your soul, and your mind. Here's my favorite. Do it anyway. If you've heard my talk from last month when I did that marathon, do it anyway. Set those non-negotiables. You know you're going to have failures. You know these obstacles, roadblocks, hurdles are going to happen. Go and do it anyway. Because to know and not do is to not know. What is the point in knowing something new, in being shared some information? And I see this and hear this all the time. There's so much information. I've got so much to do. There's so many worksheets, and it just becomes too much. So stop. Sometimes pull back and say, I've got this information. Let me focus here. Right just on this. Everybody knows how to lose weight, but very few people actually do anything. So be a doer and not a knower. Every day I'm going to talk about that in a second. Every day we limit ourselves by this. And you're going to be hearing about this, the 6 inches between your ears. This is where the problem comes and the solution. But the more open-minded that you can be, the more possibilities and limitations that you don't see. There's possibilities out there. You have no limitations. But it's up to us to rise above them. So in order for you to rise above your limitations, you need to know who you are. And when you know who you are, and you can identify who you would like to become, who that identity is, you know who you are is an equal opposite of the person. That's where you're going to hear from our next speaker. But before that, just a very quick punt. I'm going to send this out as well. If you're interested in breath work, I'm running some free transformational breathwork journeys. These are 60-minute journeys to help you get some peace and calm and just coherence, release some stress, anxiety, and trauma. So that then you can focus on you and focus on the new who you'd like to become. And I've got free sessions. I'll put the link in the chat box just now so you can click on it and leave it for later on, where you can register on Monday the 9th and Saturday the 14th. Join one of these sessions. This is further service that I'm giving you guys so you can come and experience what it means to be mindless. Or mindful, mindless, we're going to empty the mind. So then you can take this information which is being shared by these other speakers, and you can then take that and apply it. So we're going to lead into the who. Not the band, the who you are and who you would like to become. Thank you, Chantelle. She got it. Thank you, Chantelle. Ladies and gents, it's my absolute privilege to introduce you to Chantelle Botha. Now, Chantelle is a global authority on understanding identity to create purpose. She's crazy about local travel, loves sparking change wherever she goes. From individuals coaching to corporate coaching and training, her reputation is that she is a catalyst. Today, you're going to be immersed in a virtual experience with Chantelle as she dives deep into the concept of career shaping identity. So I'm going to hand over the microphone. Chantelle Botha, privileged to have you here. Thank you so much for joining. I'm all ears.
Thanks for having me, Tim. Good to be here with everyone. I've been laid low with a bit of a virus or something really, really strange the last 2 days. I've just had no energy. But you know what? As that clock was ticking down on this webinar, I just felt my energy going, ka-donk, ka-donk, ka-donk. This is what I live for. So I'm really excited to share with you guys. What I also want to do is I want to reaffirm what Tim said at the start of this webinar, and particularly for my session. What I'm doing with you guys tonight is I want to build something. Okay, so you're going to need 3 things. You're going to need something that looks like this, a notebook. You're going to need something that looks like this, a pen. And you're going to need something that looks like this to type in the chat box. Have you got all 3? Give me a thumbs up. And are you going to use all 3? Right. Why do we dream? Have you ever thought about it? Why do we dream? Why do we have dreams? Why do we have goals? Why do we have visions? Why do we dream? Anyone want to volunteer? This is where you use these things. Guys, we dream because it's possible. And I know that's like so simple, right? We dream because it's possible. Okay, we are the only mammals, I believe, that dream, that think about the future. There's some evidence that dolphins kind of go there, but we are the only ones that actually think about crafting a future. And everything you're putting in the chat box is correct, to give your life purpose, to plant the seeds of a future. But we are the only species that do this. We dream because we can. So I want to take that a step further. Everything you dream about was planted there because it's possible. Now, I am not a numbers person. I would never have a dream about creating an app that simplifies spreadsheets, because that just ain't who I am. The dreams that you have are yours. They are planted there because of who you are. And they were there to create the grandest version of who you are. Does that resonate with anyone? Can I see like thumbs up, thumbs down? Like, where are you on the scale? Okay, so remember this. We dream because it's who we are. And that dream was instilled in us because of who we are. That means achieving that dream is possible. It is not a question. It is possible. By virtue of the fact that you have the dream, it is possible. Yet, we fail. We hit hurdles and we fail. Statistics tell us that 70% of people don't achieve their goals, their dreams, their visions. That's so sad. So I want a couple of reasons from you guys. This is where you use these things. Tell me why we fail. Throw it out. Think about the last time you had a vision, a dream, a goal. Why did you fail? We fear failure. Okay, so we fail because of fear. Why else? We fail because we don't believe in ourselves, because we've got limitations, because we don't know, because we're not clear, because we're not prepared. We fear being successful or what that could mean. You guys are all correct. But now, have you noticed, if we take each of those statements that you guys have given me, it is closely related to an identity, right? So if we say we're waiting for the right time, what does it mean? I am not ready. If it means we don't know, it means I am not clear. If it means there's limitations, what it means is I am not sure of myself, or I don't believe in myself. Can you see how every reason for failure relates to an identity statement? I don't see anything in the chat box that says because the economy was bad, because Trump won, because Trump didn't win. Can you see how everything in that chat box talks about identity? It is all related to identity statements. Have you ever heard the expression, when I do good, no one remembers, but when I do bad, no one forgets? And have you noticed how we are our own worst enemy? When I do bad, I don't let myself forget. I don't know if you guys are with me on this one, but I revisit it and revisit it and revisit it. Chantelle, how could you? How could you have done that? But I forget all the times that I've done good. So I want to flip the script tonight. I want you to use these things again. Drop in the chat box and tell me one good thing in your entire life that you've done. One good thing. It could be raising your son. It could be quitting smoking. It could be paying someone a compliment. Attended this workshop. Hell yeah. Okay, so give me a couple more, guys. I want one good thing from each of you. One good thing that you've done. I found my words, Chantelle. That's so powerful. Selling everything and moved to New Zealand. Fabulous, Stephanie. Now, what you might want to do is you might want to take these things and write down the one good thing here. One of the good things I've done in my life is I raised my son. I was a drug addict. I don't know how I raised a drug-free son. He's 26 years old today and he's bloody marvelous. I'm so proud of the lad. He's an art auctioneer on the cruise ships. So what I want you to do is I want you to take your statement that you've got in the chat box and I want you to convert it to, what does that say about you? I save snails. Wow. I haven't heard that one before. But what does that statement that you've put in the chat box say about you? So the fact that I raised my son and he's not a drug addict, I attribute to the fact that I was honest with Carl when he was growing up. So I can call myself an honest person. So look at the statement you've written down and attribute it, convert it to an identity statement. What have you done? Bianca, you raised your boys. What do you attribute that success to? I want an I am statement from you. I raised my boys and I'm proud of that because I am. What does that mean to you? Now, it could mean different things to different people. For me, my key to success in raising Carl was my honesty. For Bianca, it could be her tenacity. It could be something different. But we all have an I am statement that is related to something we do. Are you guys with me so far? Are you kind of seeing where I'm going? Right. Now I want you to take this thing and I want you to write down another statement that you've done. Think about something you've done. Tim, I ran a marathon. Scott, I stopped drinking. Maybe I'm letting the cat out of the bag there. Stephanie, I went to New Zealand. Bianca, I started my own business. These are just the people that I know on this call. So write down another thing that you've done. I stopped smoking. Well done, Jean. And add an I am statement. I want you to have 3 things that you've done in your life and 3 I am statements. Put it on your piece of paper. Can you see how we're starting to build an identity? Stephanie, you stepped out of an abusive relationship. That's powerful. What does it say about who you are? What do you attribute that to? I am stronger than I give myself credit for. Remember, I told you we're building something here, guys. Now we're on a bit of a roll here, and I'm getting all the good stuff out of you. So I want to go one step further. If I put you on the spot, what is your vision? Put it in the chat box. What do you want? What is your goal? What is your vision? What is your hope? What is your heartbeat? What is your dream? What do you want to do? For me, I want to talk on the TED stage. I think I'm a long way away, but that's my dream, and I say it everywhere, right? What do you want? What's your vision? Let's see who's going to be first. Pop it in the chat. Oh, my oath. I think that's bigger than mine, Tim. Talk on Tony Robbins' stage. To leave a legacy where I teach people to be CEOs. Be the best coach that I can be. I love it, guys. I love it. Now I'm going to ask you, go again into your notebook, because this is something I want you to take away. Write down that vision to be the best coach that I can be. Now I want you to convert that to an identity statement. Who do you need to be in order to be that person that stands on the Tony Robbins stage? Do you need to be unstoppable? Do you need to be disciplined? Do you need to be hardworking? Do you need to be a networker? Who do you need to be in order to be that person that achieves your vision? Give me a thumbs up when we've all got it. I just want to give you guys a couple of moments. Thanks, Stephanie. How's everyone else doing? Are we all ready? Okay, so we've got your vision. We've got who that person needs to be. And I know it feels like I'm bouncing all over. I promise I'm going to pull those threads together in a moment. Now let me hit you with this. Why are you here tonight? And you don't need to use these things. Just think about it for a sec. Why are you here tonight? Are you here tonight because you're crushing your goals and you're already on that Tony Robbins stage? Or are you here tonight because maybe there's a part of you that's in that 70% that's failing and you want to hear how you can improve? You want to hear how you can get to that Tony Robbins stage, be the best coach that you can be. Okay. So if that resonates, I'm going to say to you what all the coaches say to you. If what you're doing is not working, you need to change what you're doing. Simple, isn't it? But it's not so simple, because Tim said it earlier. We all know how to lose weight. But do you think we do it? We don't do it. So there's something that gets stuck with the doing, right? We know how to, but there's the doing that gets stuck. So change is hard. It means doing something that we're not accustomed to. So what coaches have introduced is all of these things called NLP and CBT and all of these different strategies to change the way you think. So you start thinking differently. So you start becoming a different person, right? So what happens is Chantelle has come up with her own version. Identity informs insight. So who you are determines how you show up in the world. And how you show up in the world determines how the world responds to you. Identity informs insight, right? So we've got to change who we are. But can you hear this word that I keep repeating? Change, change, change. Change is hard, damn it. Anyone agree with me? So let's stop for a second. Let's look at Clifton Strengths. Clifton Strengths is one of the world's largest strength finder assessments. Gallup is known across the world as one of the foremost and premier assessment technologies. Do you know that on the Clifton Strengths, it says, or Clifton says that the odds of having the same top 5 strengths as anyone else is 1 in 275,000. Hang on. Doesn't that mean you're quite unique? And here I am telling you, you have to change, but Clifton is saying that you're so unique. Let me give you another one. to get the same top 5 strengths in the same order. You know what the odds are of that? 1 in 33 million. You are unique. Why on earth would I tell you to change? Okay, so who's scratching their head now? Friends, we need to change that word change to remember. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to remember who you are. Do you know that 95% of our life is unconscious? We go through life on unconscious, on autopilot. 95% of what we think, do, say, everything that happens in our lives is unconscious. And you know why this is? Because of the marvel of how our brain was created. Think about driving. If you've been driving for a couple of years, you do it on autopilot. Now, our brains have been created that way so that they can, so that it can relegate as much as possible to the field of the unconscious. Why does our brain do it that way? Because this thing in front here, this prefrontal cortex, wants to be as free as possible to pursue creativity. Now, do you know what's the most creative thing I can think of? Pursuing your dream. Is that not the most creative thing you've ever thought about? Okay, so we want to do as much as possible on autopilot, on unconscious, right? But we also want to remember who we are. So how do we remember who we are? Let's look at the basic principles for creation. Everything in this world was created through a 3-step process. First, it was thunk. Yes, thunk. Someone thunk it. They thought about it. Then it was spoken about. Then they chopped down the tree and made it happen. Right? Can you see the creative process? So what I'd like to suggest to you guys tonight is how you remember is you practice a daily I am practice. Now, I am is a tool that I use in my coaching. I am, inspire, articulate, master. Now, I'm going to give you the very quick rundown and the worksheet and the how to consciously remember who you are. I don't want you to work. I don't want you to change who you are. I simply want you to consciously remember who you are. So step number 1, when you go onto Speaker Score, you're going to be able to download my worksheet. But my worksheet is really simple. I want you to list on this side everything you've done in your life that's good. And on this side, what I want you to do is I want you to list everything that says about you. So I am. Get up to 100 if you can. Do 5 a day. Do 10 a day. I guarantee you've got more than 100 good things in your life, but just do 100. Next thing, I want you to look at your vision and look at that I am statement that's tied to your vision. Who do I need to be to become this person? I need to be disciplined. Right, now you need to find all those areas where you were disciplined. Cut them out of your worksheet and stick them into a jar. Then what you need to do is you need to pull out one every single day. And you're going to open up your I am statement. And my I am statement says, every day I am building a wonderful life. It's part of my I am statements. Every day I am building a wonderful life. So first of all, I inspire myself with that statement. I tie it back to my dream, but I also tie it back to what I've done in the past. And I let that inspire me because that is who I am. I have built a wonderful life. You have lost it. You have screwed up here and there. But I have built it. I've got that track record. I can do it. This inspires me. Next thing I do is I articulate that throughout my day. As I walk through my day, I am building a wonderful life. Now, friends, I want to say something quickly. Affirmations don't work, and I'm not advocating an affirmation here. What I'm advocating is a point and call technique where you verbalize your unconscious actions. Now, you can Google point and call, but point and call, there was a 94 study done on the railways that showed when railway workers pointed at the signals and called what they saw, they reduced mistakes by 85%. because they took what was unconscious and they moved it into the conscious. So articulate. If you're quitting smoking and you're thinking about a cigarette, say to yourself, I'm thinking about a cigarette. Does that align with who I am? Does that align with the wonderful life I'm building for myself? And then lastly, master the actions that you need to build this wonderful life. So as you go through your day, ask yourself, is what I am about to do going to help me build this wonderful life? And that, friends, is how you change your identity. You don't change it. You remember who you are, because you are unique. You are fabulous. Thank you.
Wow. Absolutely phenomenal. I knew it was going to be brilliant. I just didn't know how brilliant. That is amazing. First time I've heard your full I am.
Yay.
And I've written loads of notes here. Not quite sure where to start. But these 3 I am statements is a brilliant, absolutely brilliant way to put it, meaning you're owning it yourself. You're identifying it as a you strength, as a you thing, not as somebody else or something inferior out there. Brilliant. Identity informs insight. Have you had a T-shirt made with that printed on? Good. Have you got?
I need to actually, yeah.
You've got to. What do you have to do to get that little R symbol on it? What's it called?
Yes, the trademark.
No, you got to trademark. You got to trademark that.
Yeah.
You're sharing your wisdom here. You need to own that as Chantelle. Nobody's allowed to touch it. This is so many nuggets and so much insight has come from what Chantelle's shared there, that I know the next person who's going to be speaking, Mr. Scott Raven, is going to take this to a whole new dynamic level. This has been built on. So I'm going to introduce you now to the founder of the Raven Group and the creator of the Ascent program. And a little bit of a bio here for you. So Scott's got over 2 decades of experience in corporate and small business world. And that's an understatement. He's done phenomenally well in his life on all sides, good and bad. Scott Raven is a transformational coach who specializes in guiding aspiring entrepreneurs and business leaders. And he founded the Raven Group to provide a holistic approach to professional and personal development. So it's my privilege and pleasure, my new friend, all the way from the US, Mr. Scott Raven, the microphone's yours.
Well, the honor is mine, Tim. Thank you so much. Can we just get a round of applause or a reaction for the wonderful Chantelle? That was absolutely phenomenal, spot on, well done, right? And I do intend in my minutes with you to bolt on to what Chantelle has said. But first, here's what we know about adults when it comes to afternoon learning. When you have adults for afternoon learning and it goes much past an hour, we start to get the adult ADD going on. So first things first, we're going to have a little bit of fun. We are going to just take a break, relax, sway, move around, stretch a little bit. If you feel like doing something silly, like walking the Egyptian or whatnot, right? You start doing hearts, right? Whatever you need to do in order to revigorate what's you got going on, because we are at the midway point, right? And we want to make sure that you've got enough energy in order to get to the finish line, because, you got a lot of great stuff coming up, right? Now, I was going to ask you to have 3 things. The challenge is Chantelle already beat me to those 3 things. You need your piece of paper, you need your pen, and you need these, because every so often I'm going to ask you to type something up in the chat. So if you did what you were supposed to do for Chantelle, guess what? You're already covered. Good on you. All right. Now, I am here, as Tim said, as the founder and owner of the Raven Group and the Ascent program, but I'm also here as me and as the product of the winding path of trials, triumphs, and transformations that I have personally been through that have fit my unique definition of mindful momentum. As Chantelle pointed out, I am a combination of various strengths that make me unique. And I had to learn that in my over 6-year journey in order to become who I was today. And my purpose in talking about my journey is to hopefully give you inspiration to find your own unique journey and your own unique evolution from where you are today. Let's start with this. Fingers ready. On a scale of 1 to 10, to what degree do you equate success with fulfillment? On a scale of 1 to 10, to what degree do you equate success with fulfillment? Let's see where everybody is coming in. We got Chantelle, who said about an 8. Okay. Got a 7 from when we're 8, 7, right? 9, 9, 7, 8, 10, 7. And it's so fascinating to take a look at these numbers, particularly in light of Tim's section in terms of things that we have to overcome, particularly fear of failure, and Chantelle's section in terms of identity, that we have such a strong bias that success is fulfillment, particularly when, as Chantelle said, 70% of us don't believe that we are hitting the success that we want to hit. I had it because when I was 40 years old in 2017, I was living a good life. I had a senior executive role here in Atlanta, Georgia. I had a wonderful team that I was leading. I had prestige, I had title, I had money. I had it all. And then in a reduction in force, my position was taken away from me. And suddenly, with that huge gaping hole that I had because that job had become so much of who I was, that I suddenly had nothing. And I struggled to try to find who I was without any of the tools that Tim and Chantelle have talked about in order to find myself. So unfortunately, I found a tool that's very common for middle-aged men when they don't have those kind of tools: alcohol. And as a result, just before Christmas time, I looked at my wife as I brought the kids home from school, and I'm like, honey, I need to go to the hospital. Something's not right. We go to the hospital. They take me back in the ER, and I have a blood pressure of 180 over 110. Doctors start running a battery of tests just to make sure that there isn't something immediately fatal that needs to be addressed right then and there. As I'm waiting, I want you to picture yourself. Go ahead and close your eyes, guys. Go ahead and close your eyes for me. Okay. I want you to picture yourself on that ER bed as you're kind of in that similar state, just waiting for results to come back and trying to understand what the doctors are going to say to you. And doctors allow your loved one to come in and see you bedside. What would you say to your loved one? You don't know if you have minutes, hours, or if this is going to be something that you're going to overcome. What would you say to your loved one? Think about that for a second. And then keep this in mind. I'm having you do this exercise in a very calm state. I've got my body pinging left, right, and center. I've got doctors running around all over the place. And you don't know, because for me, it was my 7-year-old son at the time who didn't know that any better. Daddy was just sick for him, right? What do I want to say to him if that's the very last thing that he would ever hear from me? Now, if that doesn't put you into a hurt locker and have a harrowing experience, I don't know what will. I'll put it that way, right? But it gave me the perspective of how fragile life is. it gave me the perspective that I had been going about it all wrong, and that my over-reliance on financial wealth as the determinant of who I was via this job had put me in a position that my story could have very well ended. So over the next 6 months, I went through a remarkable journey in order to really dive deep into the true root causes of what happened to me. Fortunately, that hospitalization just turned out to be severe hypertension on the onset of acute anxiety. And it would take me a long time to figure it out. It got so bad that one day I was standing at my son's baseball game and I felt every single nerve in my body feel like it was going to explode at exactly the same time. To anybody who was in the stands, I looked normal. They couldn't tell. But to me, I was feeling something so acute, I didn't know what the hell was going on. Have you guys ever had that feeling? And it doesn't have to be metaphysical like mine, where the world just stopped and you were incapable of doing anything. What do you remember from that? What do you remember from that experience? How do you take that in terms of who you are today and say, man, that shook me up pretty good? Obviously, we take these lessons and we move on in my story, and definitely had its roller coaster moments, its ups and downs. I was fortunately able to re-enter the workforce in the middle of 2018, only to have that position eliminated in a reduction in force at the end of 2019. I then decided that I wanted to run far away from corporate. I'm done with this. Goodbye. I don't need you anymore, right? So I decided to get into franchising with a martial arts franchisor who was expanding. And that was what I thought I wanted to do. That was my identity. That was how I was going to leave my legacy of not only financial fulfillment, but also something that was going to be good for the community. Turns out 2.5 years later, due to COVID, my own learning in terms of how to run that business, and just poor relations with the franchisor, I exited middle of 22 with a significant financial loss. So here I am, middle of 22, had some stuff happen to me. It forced me to do exactly what Chantelle talked about, to take that period of self-reflection, to say, hold up, before we go anywhere, we're going to take a step back and we're going to take a look at ourselves. And that retrospect in terms of providing that clarity in terms of who I was has led me to where I am today. The reason for that is because along that journey, I discovered 6 pillars that I feel are the cornerstone of my transformation. And this is the part where I have the paper and pen, so y'all can write these down. I'll put it that way, right? Number 1, and Chantelle alluded to it, self-discovery and alignment. Understanding your true values, your true beliefs, your 2 strengths that define you. Not trying to hide from your fears, your triggers, but addressing them head on so they don't live in the subconscious of your brain ever to fester. To go ahead and say, I will be stronger than you. Number 2, vision. Knowing where you want to go. Having along that vision the goals that you set for yourself and that you want to hold yourself accountable to. Not for anybody else, for you. And that you will take extreme ownership in terms of making these goals become reality, not just speaking it into existence, as Chantelle said, right? Being able to take the ownership that these will happen. Number 3, skill development and mastery. This is where you have to take a hard look at yourself and say, what am I deficient at that needs to improve in order for me to accomplish my vision? And what, and more importantly, who do I need to bring into my life in order to make that happen? While there are many great things that you can learn from books, online courses, etc., person-to-person learning, particularly as adults, is one of the strongest forms of learning. And who we learn from and the quality of that learning often drives the acceleration within us. So let me ask you a question before I get to the other 3. Who have you learned from recently? Not a what have you read? Who have you learned from recently? Go ahead and type it in chat if you would, in terms of who you have learned from recently. And if you're thinking about this question and you're struggling, right? Let this be the invitation to you to find somebody to learn from, because we can all learn from each other. I see a little circle between Tim and Eli and Chantelle. We got a friend, we got smiley faces. So we got some good vibes. We got some good vibes here. I love it. I love it. Okay. Number 4, balance and well-being. I alluded to it at the beginning. I had so over-prioritized one particular element of my life that it threw everything else out of balance. It's not just about, do you have the fancy car? Do you have the fancy title? Are you making a certain salary? Do you have the place with these premier networks, whatever, right? It's about the holistic you. When you wake up in the morning and you go to bed at night, you're looking at yourself in the mirror. Do you have pride for the person that you see? Because ultimately, you want the person that you see in the mirror to be your ally, not your enemy. And too many people see that person in the mirror as their enemy. That is the quickest way to not be able to accomplish that vision. Being able to come from a place of holistic well-being, where that person in the mirror is going to be the aid at your side, is so critical. Number 5, risk and resource management. Guys, life is more like a game of poker than anything, right? You can make the right play in terms of the cards on the table, but honestly, you're not guaranteed a good result. Okay? Things could turn around. That's not the point. The point is, are you making the right plays at the right time with the partial information that you have available to you? And one of the biggest resources in the plays you make, it's not your money, it's your time. Because once you spend that time, you cannot get it back. Where are you spending your time? Have you learned to say no to those things that don't help you, so that you can say yes to the things that will help you? And then finally, number 6, your network. Because your network is your net worth. It is the extension of you because you have chosen those people to be in your tribe. There is something in terms of the way that they represent themselves, that they are a representation of you, and that you are proud to have them express who you are in their circles as well. You're proud to have them as the people who will help you get to where you want to get to. Now, with all of these 6 dimensions that I just talked about, right? That's ultimately what the Raven Grouping and Ascent program has been constructed on. It's ultimately the case in terms of, with these 6 dimensions in place, you can go from a situation where you feel in pain to a situation where you feel hope. Once again, I'd like you to close your eyes for a second, okay? Go ahead, close your eyes. And I want you to just think about these statements, okay? I don't think I have what it takes to be successful. Success is only for lucky people, not someone like me. I'm afraid of failure. I've tried before and failed, so I don't think I can succeed. I feel like I will be an imposter and worry that others will discover it. Go ahead, open your eyes. Did you reflect back as I was saying those statements on a time in your life where that thought was prevalent in your head, where you felt that you were not being the best version of a friend to yourself? In fact, you were speaking to yourself worse than you would speak to your best friends. Why do we do that? But we do it all the time to ourselves. And we cause ourselves pain by providing those type of messages to ourselves. Instead, once again, close your eyes. I have found true alignment between my passion and my profession. I am making a positive impact on the lives of others through my work. I have created a thriving business that provides financial abundance. I have achieved a healthy work-life balance that allows me to enjoy my personal life. I am in control of my own destiny. Open your eyes. How many people, when they heard those, could feel the positive vibes and wave of emotions flow through their body, because that is what they truly want to believe every single day? It's what we all want. It's what I want for myself. It's what I want for my clients with the Raven Group and the Ascent program. And it's from my journey that is the blueprint of how I teach others to aspire to that. In conclusion, I hope that me sharing my story and what I have learned from my story has served you well and has inspired you to go after your own positive success that you want to drive. As Tim has mentioned, there will be an opportunity to work one-on-one with me for those people who have elected to do so, and for those people who sign up for SpeakerSoar, that they'll get the template that I have provided as part of this session to start your own self-introspection journey. I wish you well. Tim?
Amazing, Scott. Super fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, show lots of love, huge appreciation. There's that's an opening of wounds, an opening of heart, an opening of your mind, your spirit that you shared with everybody. And I respect and I appreciate that. Those are where the true life lessons are. That's the power. And we can feel it in you. We can feel it that you're on a path that will change and impact lives without question. I loved some of the things that you've got there. Wrote so many points down. The one thing that I highlighted, number 4, where you talk about balance and well-being. Who enjoyed this one? The person in the mirror is your ally, not your enemy. Yeah, Jean's going out. Chantelle's she's at a rock concert right now. Powerful, powerful words. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very quickly, before I bring on the fantastic Eli Javitz, who's here, been on the journey with me for the entire time, I'm going to put in the chat box the LinkedIn group link That's where the recording will be placed. That's where you can have chats. The coaches are all there. In fact, everybody who has been on these calls is on there. We've been on month to month to month. So you're welcome to drop questions in there, in that chat box. That's the community. In that Telegram group, that's where you post your successes. That's where you post your challenges. When you're having that downtime, and you will have it, that's where you go to say, guys, this sucks. And somebody else can reach out and say, that happened to me. Let's have a chat. Let's jump on a call. You can ask questions of the coaches as well. Ask questions each other. Celebrate your successes in there. Uplift somebody else. Say, this is where I was. That's where I am now. Somebody else goes, wow, you can do it. I can do it too. That's the group. That's where the recording is going to be. And it's for people who are on this journey. So you are in good, like-minded hands, so to say. Now we're leading straight on to Mr. Eli Javitz. Now, for those who have met Eli before, he's definitely one of the most sought after of all the coaches that come on. So he's a high-performance transformational life coach and worked with the legendary Bob Proctor, the world's foremost authority in success, prosperity, and the power of the mind. And Eli brings to the table an eclectic background of over 30 years as a serial entrepreneur with expertise in health and wellness and self-image and self-esteem, which allows him to really help his clients achieve a well-balanced personal and professional lifestyle to achieve quantum leaps in their success easier and faster than ever. The one thing that Eli doesn't put on here is that he is a seriously focused and strong family man. His family is his driving factor of why he does what he does. So I'm proud to be able to call him my friend. We chat absolutely every single week. There's a lot of things that, and I probably wouldn't still be here doing this journey if it wasn't for him. He's there with me along the way, and we strategize, and we have some phenomenal things coming up with where we're taking this as well. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to Eli Javitz.
Thank you. Thank you. And I got to say, I mean, these workshops are so amazing because every month we find incredible people that come on to join us. And like Scott, Chantelle, thank you so much. I mean, I'm a lifelong learner, so amazing. I picked up so many different nuggets and things that I made notes on. And it's interesting because we talked about this actually on our pre-call. It's all the same, but different in its own unique flavor, right? And that's the key. If it's not all the same, probably not worth listening to. This type of information has been told to us for thousands of years, in biblical times, in societies, in private groups that we don't even know about. It's the same information. Why? Because it's the truth. It's how it works. Today I'm going to share with you. By the way, Tim, if you can, I'm logged in with my iPad. If you can just allow me to share screen, because for some reason I can't share screen on that particular one.
Okay, you should be able to now.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So, but before I do that, what I wanted to talk about is that it's the reason why it's the truth is it's a universal truth, meaning our mind is set up in a certain way. Yes, we're all different. Yes, we all have different experiences. Yes, we all come from different backgrounds, even to the point where some of us are males and some are females. But at the end of the day, we are actually all the same, just unique in our own different, nuances. What I mean by we're all the same is we're all infinite beings. We all came into this physical form. We call this life. We don't even know the true answer. Nobody can really, really tell us where it is that we came from and where it is that we're going to. So while we're here, it's nice to run into individual and like-minded thinkers that, allow us to learn ways to just cope with what's going on in this crazy little device that nobody gave us some instruction book to. Everything else I buy seems to come with an instruction book. How come the most important part of me didn't come with an instruction book? It's like, here you go, figure it out. Right? The problem is the ones that are helping us figure out, at least when we're little, when we're learning, And we're figuring out, oh my God, there's a hand. It belongs to me, which is why children keep gnawing on their hand. And then they discover their feet, and I'm not going to try to do that one because I'll probably tear something. But little kids can easily pull their leg into their mouth because they're learning what is going on. Wow, this is a bot. Ow, this belongs to me. Well, who is this me? What is this? What's happening here right now? And the only information we got is our parents, our grandparents, our environment, and they're all sharing what they think is right. Not necessarily what is right, or not necessarily what is true, but as far as we know, when we arrive, we're a little baby, we're wide open, subconscious, just accepting everything. Oh, wow, well, they must be right. So that's the way it is. Oh, that's the way it is. Boom, that's the way it is. And I've talked about this before with the diagram where I showed, you got the TV and radio. The little baby's playing in its playpen, and all of a sudden it hears something going on in the news, and mom and dad are arguing, and grandma is telling her stories about how times are tough, and government is this, and money is that, and blah, blah, blah. And it's all coming in. And it's all our instruction book as far as we know, because we don't know any differently. So once again, it's nice to be able to, during these short couple of hours, to hear from people that have definitely had some challenges. So my heart goes out to you guys. I can relate. I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life. As that saying goes, I've been rich and I've been poor, and I like rich better. The idea is that when we are able, Andrew Carnegie said it best, and he was the richest man in recorded history back in 1900. He was a billionaire in 1900. You can't even imagine how much money that is right now. And he said, the man or woman, because in those days the man who can take full possession of his own mind can get anything he's justly entitled to. So the key is to get possession of this ridiculous thing that's actually the most marvelous thing, but came with no manual. Right? And Scott shared with us how he had certain things happen in his life. And I can relate because I had the same thing. I was at the top of the mountain and nobody told me how far down I can stumble. And thankfully, in my own journey, because I did go from being a very happy, very wealthy man to being flat broke and $500,000 in debt, brand new baby in my arms, brand new house, newly remarried. Like, what the F am I supposed to do right now? So, fortunately, at the same time is when I stumbled into self-development. And interestingly enough, is the person that kind of was the reason for the demise was also the person that brought me to self-development. And if it wasn't for that journey and exploration and studying and learning and listening to great people like you heard today, and the big names that you heard, like Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, I love all those guys. I've learned from Wayne Dyer, who was one of my favorite teachers. And then Bob Proctor, which I ended up loving so much that I actually took an entire year to work with the man and then become partners with him in business because I just love his information. And it's the closest thing to a manual book for this thing. Right? So the idea is today, what I want to share with you guys is one of the segments that I work with clients on is we talk about attitude. And everybody's always heard about, you got to have a great attitude, positive. Oh, he's got a great attitude. That's why he's successful. Well, yes, but most of us don't really know what the attitude is all about. And attitude is very important because it's the one thing that can help us crawl our way out of that deep valley when it happens. And that could be different for everyone in this call today. It could be your health all of a sudden. It could be your relationships. I've gone through those nightmares as well. Well, I shouldn't call them nightmares, but ups and downs. Or it could be your finances, your career, what you thought was the ultimate mission and goal and direction for you, all of a sudden just turned to, and that's a big one to handle, because like Scott said, and you know, when you're, let's put it this way, when I was 20, I was exploring everything. I mean, I owned a store, I had a nightclub, I had all kinds of stuff when I was in my early 20s, then when I was in my 30s, and I was chancing it, I didn't care. I lost a few $100,000 here, boom, who cares? I'm going again. I made some money, lost some money. Well, now I'm 53. That's not the same. It's not as easy to bounce back and think that, well, you know what? I tried it. That obviously wasn't my direction. Let's go for next. So by this age, we hope that we're in the right direction and kind of serving our purpose and living our life. And all of a sudden, and it all turns to, you know what? So I want to share with you a little something about what attitude is all about. Like, what does that mean? And you know, how can we use it to get a little more recognition of what's happening? How can I actually, you know, be able to work with this mind thing that I heard so much about? What can I do to bounce back as fast as I can? And more importantly, what can I do to ensure that it doesn't happen to me again and again and again? And that goes for every area in our life, whether it's our health, our relationship, or our finances. Pretty much the trifecta of our life. You've all seen this by now many times. I'm going to share it again because repetition is the key to learning. So this is the stick figure. And the reason why I share this over and over again is so that you guys have an image when it comes to working with the mind. Because no one's ever seen the mind. It's not a physical, it's not the brain. The brain is not the mind. The brain is actually controlled by the mind. So it's a non-physical, it's an energetic thing. It's a spiritual thing. And when you start to understand and be able to work with it, you can take full possession of your mind so you can have justly everything that you are entitled to, whether it's the best health of your life. You know, at 53, I can run circles over most 20. And I'll take that challenge any day. And that's not by accident. That's by design. Because at a certain age, I made up my mind that I'm going to die in this exact same looking body. It's never going to get out of control. It's never going to get too big, too small. It's just going to stay perfect and take me right through however long I've been blessed to have. That's a decision I made. That's an I am statement. I'll give you guys one. My mentor told it to me, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I am so happy and grateful now that I feel myself getting younger, stronger, and more vibrant every moment of every day. That's what Bob Proctor repeated for 87. Well, he died at 87, but when he stumbled on this information, he was 26. And when he learned how it works, he started saying that statement to himself until the age of 87. And he was in perfect health. His mind was fully there. My dad is 83 and he's got dementia. His mind is not fully there. Everything was because he was thinking about a specific thing. He made it a non-negotiable. He also had another statement. I'm sure you guys have heard it if you follow his work. I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. What a nice statement. Money keeps coming to me. I have no clue from where. Multiple sources, continuous basis, and it's always increasing. Nothing wrong with that statement. The interesting part is and this is where we talked about before, we have the conscious mind, right? And we have the subconscious mind. And this guy here, the subconscious mind, cannot reject. It simply must accept whatever is consciously given to it or left open to receive from news and government and opinions. And you know what they say about opinions? I don't want to swear here, but opinions are like a part of our body. Everyone's got one. Okay, so the idea is don't go by exterior. The biggest problem is that when we lack the understanding There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, we weren't given an instruction book on this. When we lack understanding, there's this incredible infinite energy that just flows to and through us all the time. It's the reason why we're alive. It's what makes everything happen. It makes everything possible. That picks up our thoughts. Our thoughts create our feelings. By the way, the subconscious mind is the feeling mind. It doesn't think. It runs on autopilot. It controls every part of you. Every cell in your body is controlled by your subconscious mind that has nothing to do with your conscious awareness. It's the reason why your nails and hair continue to grow, even though you could be in a coma or sleeping for, I don't know, a month. Everything continues to go because the subconscious mind never sleeps. And it is the feelings that cause our actions. And this is actually what attitude is. Attitude is the composite of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. So the next time you hear somebody say, oh, he's got a great attitude, what they're actually saying is, he's thinking great thoughts, and he always feels great, and he always takes good actions. So with the right attitude, the facts don't matter. I'll say that again. With the right attitude, the facts don't matter. Because it is your attitude, which is your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, that created the fact that you think you're seeing in the first place. The problem comes in is that most of us live outside in versus inside out. This is why 97% of the world is struggling in some way, and it's only getting worse. They're either struggling financially, or they're struggling because they're missing out on life in terms of relationship and love and connection to others, or they're struggling because their health is declining and they're finding out that they, God forbid, have some cancerous disease that cannot be fixed. Interestingly enough, there is now scientific proof that tumors have been recorded to disappear in a matter of a few weeks without any outside stimulus, no chemo, none of that. It was all the workings of the mind. They're doing research on this and they have it now. They just don't want to release it because the pharma company, there's no money in being healthy. So the idea is we look at our results. Some call it fact. We look at the fact and we let that control our thinking. And because we're caught up thinking based on the outside, it creates a feeling in our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind, not being able to reject anything, says, well, it must be so. It must be so because I don't know any different. Your wish is my command. You tell me the results are crap. You tell me that that's fact. I must accept that as fact. That creates the behavior in your body. And guess what kind of actions you're going to take? You're going to take every action possible to get you right back into alignment with what you think is true. That is living outside in. What happens to the fortunate few who stumble onto higher selves, higher learning, not just the basic stuff they taught us in grade 1 through 7, because after that, it's all nonsense anyways. The point is that by coming to these workshops, working with such amazing people as you see every single month, you start to understand it's an inside-out game. We're not living by the outside in. This is why today you had some great information. You heard about who do you want to become. That's an idea you want to build in here for yourself, not based on the result. Your result out here doesn't matter because, like I said, when the attitude is right, the facts don't count. It doesn't matter what is going on outside. It doesn't matter that you just lost your job or, don't like the person you see in the mirror or somebody left you or somebody hurt you. Because you can build a beautiful, amazing new idea in here. Remember how Chantelle shared with us? Scott did too. What do you want? Do you really want this? Or do you want to create something beautiful in here? Because your conscious mind, you have full control over. You can choose what you want to think about. You can actually reject information that you know is not serving you. So now all of a sudden, hey man, I think I'm getting an instruction book on how to use this. I'm able to use this machine that's been given to me that can make all this happen in my life. And I'm actually starting to understand, wait a minute, I can take any idea I want. And if I feel good about it and I think about it over and over and over, like an I am statement, where my body feels perfect every day, I'm getting younger, stronger, and more vibrant every day. Multiple sources of income come to me. Money keeps coming to me in increasing quantities. Life is so amazing, I can hardly stay in my chair. You keep thinking thoughts like that, that creates a beautiful feeling inside and starts to kill off whatever feeling you've been experiencing up to now, thanks to the mental chatter that you've been holding here up to now. And with that, you start to change your behavior. Start to be a little nicer to other people. Start to try to help others. Start to get out there and eat a little bit better. Start to move your body a little bit because it was designed to do so. Start to look for who might be interesting to bring into your life. All that changes the behavior, and your actions start being incredible. Because we live in a world that has universal laws, and one of those laws is the law of opposites, or the law of polarity. It states that everything is. There's no such thing as good or bad. Something bad to you could be good to someone else because they're in a much worse position. So there's no such thing as good or bad. It just is. Your perception of it is what makes it good or bad. So is says that there's two. There's a negative and a positive. It's the law of opposites. So let's say there's a negative when it comes to your income. Well, automatically, by the law of opposites, there must be a positive. So if you know what you don't want, it's actually quite easy to understand what you do want. Sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes the universe, which can play a little bit of tricks on us, needs us to experience bad so that we can understand what we want. How can you know a good paycheck without a bad paycheck? How can you know light without darkness? How can you know well-being without something not being well? So the idea is, when something negative is in our heart, in our life, reject it. Stop letting that control your thinking. I've done that for so long, I almost completely lost control because I fell to such a valley that all I said to myself is, how am I ever going to recover from this? How can I possibly get out of this? Like, this is insane. I'll never be able to earn the same amount of money. I'll never be able to provide for my family. I can't survive this. And sure enough, the results, boy, did they follow that. And they became like a deeper hole. Until I realized what's going on. Until I thankfully found others that helped me with information to realize this. And all of a sudden, I could start focusing on the opposite. Because I knew what I don't want. Oh boy, did I know what I didn't want. And as I started building a new image and building a new attitude, feeling good inside regardless, looking for reasons to feel good on a continuous basis, I started to change everything that's happening because it's an inside-out game. As the inside changed, all of a sudden the outside started taking a different form. It's almost like magic. The interesting part is there is no magic. When the attitude is right, the facts don't count. One of the things that I wanted to share with everybody is, and I gotta give it to Tim because he's gonna post it. And with your review, there's gonna be this worksheet. And this is a worksheet, it might look very simple and basic, but this is something that can be used pretty much every day and throughout the day. If you want to truly understand what is happening in your life, why am I seeing the results that are happening here as a mirror, as a reflection showing me what's inside my mind, start keeping score, just a little attention. You know, what are my thoughts? What are my thoughts when it comes to, let's say, my income? Because right now it's negative. I don't like it. There's no money in the bank. I owe all kinds of money and there's no money coming in. What are my thoughts about that? How often am I thinking I can't afford that? Oh, I better not do that because I don't have the money. And you can change it, because the one freedom we all have is the ability to choose. Choose our thoughts. Can't choose nothing else. Like, you can't choose whether you're going to accept your government or not. It just is. You don't like it, move. But what you can do is choose to think differently about how your government is controlling your life, about what's happening with my income, about how I feel about my health and, you know, my loved one. It's interesting. Tim shared with you that, to me, the most important thing is my family. But I had a very close friend of mine who happens to be a consultant as well. And she is an expert at values. And she did a values test on me, where I answered certain questions, and it gives you a score and it kind of shows you where your values are. And she came and said, Eli, you know what's interesting? Where's family in all this? Because my score came back everything to do with business, income, success, you know, everything to do on that one side, where it's like, what's happening here? There's not even energy being given to the what I consider most important thing in my life. And that helped me open up my mind. That helped me understand what's going on in here. And as I took a breath back, stopped focusing so much on just one aspect of my life, my relationship got better with my kids, with my wife, with the most important things in my life. So all of a sudden, you're starting to control what's happening. All of a sudden, you can control the feelings that are happening there. Because as you change your thought from the negative to the positive, and you think a positive about it, you create a positive feeling about it. You no longer feel like abused, like it's someone else's fault, or I can't do nothing about it. You feel like, yeah, of course I can go. Today we talked about identity. Of course I can change my identity and become the person that can control his income or his health or his relationship. Because as I change my thoughts, I change my feelings, which control my actions, which actually produce the result that I want. That's why this is a simple little worksheet. But if you can just check off a couple of times throughout the day where your mind has been in the last 60 minutes, what did you think about in terms of your health, your relationships, or your finances? And then shift it just slightly, 1 degree shift, like not monumental. When you go from New York to LA, 1 degree shift will secure that you'll never end up in LA. You'll end up on the other side of the God knows what. And you didn't have to make a major shift. We don't have to overnight become somebody completely different. We just have to make a tiny little adjustment. Say thank you once more than we did before. Think about what we want just one time longer than thinking about what we don't want, and magic can happen. So I hope this was helpful. Definitely, we're going to share this worksheet. Tim will take care of the, all the logistics of that. But I highly recommend you guys do speaker score. Get all the worksheets that we're sharing with you. It's coming from our heart. We're not asking anything for it. We're giving it to you because we truly understand that these can help. They can help either completely shift your direction in life or help just enough that tomorrow's a nicer day.
Amazing. Always so much wisdom in there.
Let me just turn that off. Thank you.
There you are, ladies and gents. Show Eddie. I think that's lots in the chat box there. You can go and check out what people are actually saying. Awesome, amazing. There's attitude is good thoughts. But I think it was Scott who put a big thumbs up when he was saying he loves that saying. When your attitude is right, the facts don't count. Yep, doesn't matter. I think if you ask any coach, it doesn't matter what they teach on or what they share on, they're going to they're going to acknowledge and they're going to say, that is absolutely spot on. So this really helps pull all of this together with mindfulness, which is what we're looking at is in this next 3 months. That's what we're here with. That's the overriding theme of what we've got. In the next 3 months of the year, you still got a quarter of the year. It's not over. You know those people saying, oh, the end of the year is, no, it's not. It's only over if you say it's over. There's a lot more time left for you to actually get what you want. We're talking about here is how do you use this? I shared with you guys at the beginning, how do you, when you're coming across those issues, how do you stay focused and carry on anyway? Chantelle speaking about identity. He's saying you need to know who it is. Scott, his own story, and Ellie with the mindfulness in just understanding how this works and what you're putting inside, what you're dripping and feeding inside there is going to represent on the outside. And that's where you look in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, the person that looks back at you, are you happy with what you see? Because you're in control of that. So phenomenal. Now we've got 10 minutes or so. Yes, we've got time this month for questions. Put in the chat box. What would you like to ask any one of us? Is there something you want us to pull apart a little bit more? I've got something, but I want to open it up to everybody who's on the call here. Where am I there? What is there one thing? Is there something, put in the chat box, that you would like a little bit more information on from Chantelle or Scott or Ellie or Tim? Let's go, guys and girls, type your questions. There we go, type your questions. Is there something that you want to identify? Maybe it's an obstacle or something which you've really just grappled with and you're open to sharing and saying, well, guys, I've done this and I tried that. What can I do? Is there something? Who wants to share? Did Chantelle have her hand up? I don't know. Chantelle, did you have your hand up? I'm going to open up a discussion here then. It's around this word change. Chantelle mentioned it. All the coaches go, yeah, that one, that word. So much pressure is put on change. A coach says, change. Change your mind, change your body, change your outlook, change your words, change your circumstance, change your hairstyle, change where you live, change where you think. Change my life. Isn't there another way that we can look at this? Chantelle, you mentioned.
Remember.
How can you take that word? And I've got a whole list. I've got a huge list of words. I don't know if I've mentioned it on here before. Maybe I'll share it in the future. I've got a list of words in my vocabulary, and I've written it down that I delete. And change is one of the words that I've actually last month deleted, that I replaced that word because there's so much pressure put on it. People say, but I don't want to change. I don't like change. Change is so hard. So I thought, no, you need to recreate that. Break this down a little bit more for us, Chantelle. How can you use remember instead of change to look at a more positive spin?
I think change comes with so many connotations in terms of moving to a place that we haven't been before. And with that comes fear, and with that comes all that resistance. And also let's talk about, corporate politics. Corporate politics always talks about these change initiatives that we've got to go through. And there's massive resistance to it. So our society is resisting change. And I mean, I'm known as the catalyst. People have called me the catalyst, right? So change is my middle name. I change my hair left, right, and center. Change is something I'm quite comfortable with, but lots of people aren't comfortable. It causes resistance. But yet, if I look at you and I say to you, but you are a disciplined person. And if I reinforce who you are and what I see in you, there's freedom in that. And that's where this is where most of my coaching has just come into its own, because I've reminded people, what have you done? What does that say about who you are? Because we're so busy focusing on the negative. Oh, I failed. Oh, I didn't do that well. I wasn't disciplined. But tell me about a time when you were disciplined. Tell me about a time when you did achieve things. Because not everything is failure, right? We always forget the good. So focus on who you are and build that up as opposed to building up that negativity and that resistance.
Perfect. Scott, you got something to add on this? You're nodding your head here like this. Yeah.
When I work with clients, I don't like using or focusing on the word change. I don't like it. I like using and focusing on the word direction. And why direction is because when I'm working with clients, people are in what I call a restless state of discontent with where they are right now. Something is amiss. Some of them know it better than others, right? But they all have a sense that something is amiss. What they need, in addition to a true understanding of what that is where to go. Because it's far better to take one step in the right direction than 10 steps in the wrong direction. So direction is far more important than speed in terms of where you want to go. There's a great book called Gap in the Gain. If you haven't read it, please do, right? It focuses on the fact that so many high accomplishing executives are upset and frustrated and not happy because all they see is the spot on the horizon that they want to get to that they're not there yet, and they just see the gap and they get disappointed, disenfranchised, right? Whereas if they just took a look and turned themselves 180 degrees and looked back from where they came and saw everything that they had accomplished, the gain that they had had, they would see themselves in a lot more positive light. So make sure as you are choosing the right direction for you to move, also take that spin around and look 180 degrees back from where you came and be proud of that.
Perfect. So it's exact. This is, I'm gonna pull on that string a little bit. You are where you are in life because of your experiences. It's brought you everything that you've done, who you have become, who you are in that moment is all based upon your past experiences. Why would you want to change any of that? It is who you are. So the word that I've thrown in, and I'm going to then hand over to Eli, the word that I use is create. Isn't create such a more positive, uplifting? Creation gives your imagination gets a flow. Who would you like to create? What life would you like to create? You can't change your past. Your past. Embrace it. Learn from it. But you can now create something based upon all of the good, the bad, the ugly, and those things. And there's no good or bad. It just is. It just is. We've said that already. So what if you create? You take new direction. You remember. I know Eli's got a word on this, a final word before I close off here with a few pointers.
Yeah, so just to add to that, what I wanted to say is psychology has proven that change for the mind, remember, it's all a mental game. So everything begins with the mind, thoughts, feelings, actions, controlling the body. But change for the mind is equivalent to torture to the body. So you can actually imagine how much your subconscious mind does not want to change. So when you got somebody pointing, going, you need to change, man. You just got to change. If you change this, then everything will change. And if you change, then you change. And all the subconscious is hearing is like, damn, man, that is not happening here, right? So the idea is, as some of the amazing coaches said, find a different word for it. Connect it to something else. Because when I work with clients, I try to make everything non-disruptive. Because I understand that the mind doesn't want to change. It's disruptive to it. It's disruptive to go on a diet and cut calories and never eat cake again. It's disruptive to go to the gym and get a trainer and get up every day at 6 in the morning and run like a, you know, like a dog when you've never run before. It just doesn't work that way. But if you can walk one day with your honey or your friend or your dog, and then walk a little further another day, and then have an apple instead of a chocolate bar just one time, and then do something a little incremental, a little bit where your subconscious mind doesn't have to say, no, man, go ahead, try that one on me. Let me show you what I'm going to do. It just says, oh, yeah, okay, I can have an apple. That's not a big deal. We can go for a walk. It's not a big deal. Maybe we can even skip a little faster, and I know that that will work. So incremental changes. That's why the 1% change every day is the key to success, not the, okay, I'm going to switch everything overnight. Let me try it. I'm going to prove that I can do it. And 30 days later, your subconscious mind goes, oh, yeah, there you go, buddy. So change to the mind is equivalent to torture to the body. So if you keep that in mind, don't try to make overnight changes, but do shifts. Incremental shifts will end up with monumental changes.
But then because you've done it, those steps, little pieces, it's not going to feel like change, is it? Oh, dramatic.
Exactly. And the mind doesn't have to fight you back. It actually accepts, oh, wait a minute, I enjoyed that apple. You know what? Tomorrow I'm going to have an apple again.
Nice.
And next day, you know what? I'm going to do it again. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, holy smokes.
So you see, we don't have to fear change. It's not something to be worried about. It's not because look at this from a different paradigm, right? Look at it from a different perspective. And you realize there's a lot of positivity behind here. But sometimes that word has been given a label, it's been overused, it's been abused, and is now misinterpreted. It's because you don't like words. Say, well, I don't want to do that. Say, okay, use a different word. And you've heard Ford, as Ellie was saying, who was it? It was Scott. And I can't remember. Ellie was saying, we're all talking a very similar story. We just package it slightly differently. So what do you do when you've got this information? You take one thing that resonates with you. If there's just one thing that resonates that you take today and you carry it forward, we're successful. Not 10, not 20, one. Focus on that one. Sometimes, and I mentioned it right at the very beginning, sometimes we're bombarded with this information. Eddie's given this, Scott's given that. Chantelle, I've got 6 pages of notes here. Where do I start? Oh, my life. Identify one nugget. And I always put in the Telegram, the LinkedIn group. What is one great takeaway that you had from this? That's what you focus on. Focus on that and do that extremely well. That's just your 1%. And from there you build. You're not here to take everything. Something Chantelle said may resonate with me, and I'm going to go, I love that. And I speak about it. And you're going, did she say that? I didn't even hear it. Really? That because it didn't connect. It didn't connect with you. Jean's going to have something else that Scott said that she went, oh, that feel, I relate to that. I connect. Oh, I make a note of that. And for me, I didn't even remember he said it. He can say it again. I go, that's interesting. I never heard you say it. You said I heard it before. No. What resonates with you, find that one thing and focus on that. I don't mind, and none of us do, I sure speak on behalf of the other guys, mind who it is that you resonated with most. That's the person that you can then apply for, to chat to them, get connected with them, use this opportunity. I'm mystified at how few people take advantage. I'm always phoning people. Can I have your ear? Coffee connection call. I'll have my coffee in my home. You've got your coffee in your home, somewhere else in the world. Half an hour, 30 minutes. It's amazing of what can come from that. You've got an opportunity here to connect with some phenomenal people. Stay connected. Jump on there. In the chat box, you'll have a look-see that I've put there, the speaker score. click on, if you on your computer, just click on it. You see that code V9WL, and I'll put this in an email as well tomorrow. If you don't get it now, it will be in the email as well. When you click on that, it's going to ask you for the code. When you put in the code, that's for this workshop. That's where, please give us your comments. Love to be able to, if you've got something wonderful to say, use it as a testimonial to advertise and promote for other people. Please, please, please. Then very simple. It's 4 questions. It's tick, 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 tick. That helps us to be able to then share with others and know how we can do better. You got a suggestion, you got something we can do to improve. Please, this is for you guys. It's not a matter of that I'm perfect, Ellie's perfect. There's some other ideas here. Bring them forward. We'd love to hear from you. There you get these documents that all the coaches are sharing. And there you also get that application form. It's a Google Doc. So when you click on it, download it to your computer, fill it in, email it to me. It explains it on the document. I take it because then I keep track of who gets, who's responded. I send it straight on to the coaches. You guys connect and off you go. It's all there for you. Then at the bottom also on the chat is my website for the breathwork journeys that I mentioned, which I've got on the 9th and the 14th. Again, you can click on that, come and join, de-stress, release your mind, open it up so then you can take in this beautiful information that's shared with a fresh mind instead of it being all cluttered and anxious and traumatized and worried and fearful. You can release a lot of that. And that's free as well. We share a lot of things for free here, guys. I was taught years ago, many years ago, share my knowledge for free, sell my skill. I'm here to share my knowledge. If you want to dive deeper and you really want to impact your mind, you'll do a fair exchange of value with one of the coaches. They'll give their value, you give your value. But otherwise, we're here to share our knowledge. And that's what we do. Is there a last thought or comment? We are on 9 o'clock that Ellie, Chantelle, or Scott would like to give as we leave. Otherwise, we're going to say, what a blessed evening. All good. Ladies and gents, once more, a big round of applause and huge thanks to Ellie, Chantelle, and Scott for giving up their time. They've all got businesses, they've got family or responsibilities. They're here to share. I respect them hugely. They're always saying, yes, Tim, I'm in with you. Let's do this. Let's go out there. I'm going to carry on this. I know Ellie's going to carry on this. And I hope one day soon we're going to be hearing again from Chantelle and Scott Raven. That's a wrap. You're welcome to unmute yourselves as we wrap it up. And I say, have a fantastic.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Scott and Chantelle. That was amazing.
Thank you to all.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Tim.
Amazing.
Later, y'all.
Absolutely amazing.
Thank you very
As
much.
always.
It's a lovely evening.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Gene.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Absolutely wonderful insights. Really enjoyed that.
Pleasure.
A good motivational way to start my day.
There you go. See, was it worth waking up at 6 a.m.?
Oh, goodness.